The topic that I get asked about the most by the people I'm mentoring is about the method for doing UWorld questions. How exactly do we turn a UWorld question into flashcards? What does that process look like? And how can I improve my speed? And so what we're going to do today is go through a couple of UWorld questions together. Now, I've created a UWorld account for myself, and I've done a trial subscription. And so what we'll do is go through a couple of questions. So I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. And I'm just going to talk to you about the process that I use to go through each question. Okay, so I have opened up UWorld. And this is what the screen looks like. Now, you don't have to use UWorld. You could use AAMC or Kaplan, whatever question bank you'd like. But I'm using UWorld today for simplicity. And so I'm going to go ahead and click Launch here. Alrighty. Now, I haven't done UWorld in a long time, so bear with me. Okay, when are you taking the MCAT exam? Right, so when you have UWorld, you can actually pick your exam date, and UWorld will try to help you, I don't know, get through questions on time. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip this. Don't really care. Okay, so now we're on the Create Test page. That's great. In UWorld, as you can see here, you have the option to select tutor or timed. I'm gonna select tutor, and this is what I recommend everybody do when they're first starting out. Just select tutor. Don't worry about the time yet. Question mode, we're gonna use unused questions. There is the option to use incorrect questions, questions that you've marked, all the questions, and then you can customize that selection. I suggest using unused questions until you've done all the unused questions. So part of the way I like to study is to, have a goal of going through all the UWorld questions, or all the AAMC, or all the Kaplan. You want to find a question bank that's comprehensive, meaning that it covers, or it attempts to cover, all the topics on the test you're studying for. This UWorld MCAT question bank aims to cover all topics on the MCAT, which is awesome. So if you go through all these questions, you would have covered, supposedly, hopefully, every single topic that's on the MCAT. And so I'm gonna, again, select unused because I wanna use all the unused questions first. We're gonna go down to subjects and foundations. So this is where they list all the topics that they have on the MCAT, and all the number of questions that UWorld can offer per each subject. When we scroll down here, it says number of questions. This is where you plug in how many questions you want to do at a single time. So let's scroll back up to the subjects and foundations. So I am going to pick one topic for today. If you've watched my videos on how to study, my tutorials, I do mention that you want to vary your question types. You don't want to do the same type of question all day, meaning you don't want to do just a bunch of biology questions all day. What I recommend, though, when you're first starting out is to pick two topics. So, you can pick biochemistry and organic chemistry, or you can pick cars and physics, but pick two topics. I like to let UWorld pick the topics for me. So we're here at Subjects and Foundations. I'm just going to go ahead and click on biology. And let's do physics. I like physics, right? Okay, so I'm going to do biology and physics today. If you look, the MCAT is divided into major topics and minor topics. So I selected the major topic of biology and the major topic of physics. I could have equally gone through and selected individual, subtopics, but there's so little questions in each. So I went ahead and checked biology and physics. Now, at least for UWorld, it looks like on this practice trial UWorld subscription, they only have 14 questions in each topic. So that's interesting. If you had the actual UWorld, or if you were using Kaplan, or Kaplan, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Kaplan, whatever question bank you have, a good way for you to decide which topics to do is to just find which topics have the most questions left. So, again, here I have 14 questions on each topic, but you might find that you have, 200 questions left in biology and 50 in chemistry, pick the two topics that have the most questions that day, and that's it. by limiting yourself to 2 topics, you're kind of easing your brain into studying. And I find that people have more stamina when they only work on 2 topics a day. So anyways, I'm going to pick biology and physics today. So I'm going to scroll down. Today we're just going to do 2 questions because this is an example and I don't want this video to last for hours. So we're just going to do 2 questions and that's it. Again, we are on tutor mode, so it's untimed. Unused questions only, and I picked 2 topics to do. I just checked biology and physics. I'm only going to do 2 questions today. Let's generate the test. I laugh because I haven't done MCAT style questions in a long time. Okay, again, this is untimed, right? But I'm still going to time myself for 30 seconds because if you watch my other videos, you know that I tell you, even though you don't know what you're looking at, you need to attempt to reason through the question in 30 seconds at least, right? So here we go. This is question 1. It says, a block with mass m slides down an incline of angle theta at constant velocity v. So we got the angle, the block, v. Okay. Which of the following expressions is equal to the magnitude of the frictional force between the block and the incline? Note the acceleration of gravity is 10 meters per second squared. All right, so I have not done these questions in a long time, so bear with me, but I'm going to go ahead and guess, what the question is for 30 seconds. I'm looking for my phone because I'm actually going to time myself here. All right, grabbing my phone. This is going to be interesting. You guys are going to hear me rationalize or reason my way through this. Okay, here we go. 30 seconds. All right, block of mass m slides down. So we're looking for frictional force. Frictional force to me is the opposite of velocity, right? It's going to go in that opposite direction. It's going to go like this. So we need to find out what velocity is, right? Okay, let's think about this. If we find out what the force is, so F equals ma, right? We can figure out what the force is going straight down, because that's F equals ma. Oh snap, that's 30 seconds. Wow, it was so fast. Okay, but you know what? I was on a roll, and that's the thing. I was able to think about the question, and I feel like I can get it if I give myself some more time. So I'm going to give myself some more time here. So 30 seconds is at least, right? So I can reason a little more. So, right, if I find the force of gravity going straight down that vector, F equals ma, then I can use the angle to figure out what the force is going down the ramp, right? Once I figure out the force going down the ramp, then I can, so that's the theoretical force that should go down the ramp if there's no friction, right? Then I use the velocity that's been stated, because that velocity is being affected by friction, to find the force of the block actually going down the incline, okay? And then I need to subtract those 2 things, right? If I subtract the theoretical force of the block going down by the actual force of the block going down, then I reverse the formula to find out what that velocity is, right? What is it asking for? It's asking for the force, so I don't even have to do that. So once I subtract those 2, I should be able to get the frictional force. All right. My mistake is I did not look at the answer choices. So let's time out. I went through this whole scheme in my head, had a plan, and I did not even look at the answer choices. Look at the answer choices. The answer choices are not written in the actual number because, as you can see, they don't give us a number. It's asking us about sine, cosine, etc. It's asking us how we figure out what this is based on theta. So I jumped the gun, which is a common mistake that I make. But, I'm not going to pause this video. I decided we're just going to go through in real time so you could see where your neighborhood doctor is in terms of remembering MCAT material. Anyhow, right. So at this point, I can freely admit to you that I do not remember SOHCAHTOA. I probably could with some more introspection. SOHCAHTOA, sine, SOHCAHTOA. I know it's SOHCAHTOA. That's the acronym I'm supposed to know. You know what? For the sake of time, I'm just going to press submit. So this is what you should be doing. You see the question, you reason your way through it, You try for at least 30 seconds. But if you are on a roll, if you think you can figure it out, keep going. Keep going all the way until you say, you know what, my brain hurts. I don't know what this is. I'm going to look at the answer. So I'm going to go ahead and select, I'm just going to guess, sine SOHCAHTOA, sine equals opposite over hypotenuse, right? Do we need to know opposite over hypotenuse? Do we need to know hypotenuse? Yeah. Force times, I don't know, I'm just going to make it up. Again, for the sake of time, I'm just going to pick A. So let's pick A. Yes! I actually got it right. I don't know what that's about, but I actually got it right. Anyway, you can see these percentages here are the percentages of people who have tried this question and who have selected these answers. So 54%, only 54%, only 54% of the people who attended this question have actually gotten it right. Now, just because I got the question right does not mean that I know why I got it right. You clearly saw that. I did not know and I guessed. Because I guessed and I didn't know, I need to, even though I got it right, review this question. So this is where the review period starts. You can do your traditional study methods during your review period. That means you can watch videos, you can look at lectures, you can read the book, etc., etc., etc. The catch is, try to read the explanation given in the question bank first, and then if you still don't understand it, then go to your traditional study methods. The other catch is that you need to limit yourself to 1 hour. What that means is, if I scroll down on UWorld, so I'm going to scroll down here, it's talking about dynamic equilibrium, there's some math, some angles, some equations, I don't know what any of this is. Let's pretend I read all this explanation and I'm still lost. The 1 hour clock starts now. I can then go to, my lecture videos, I can ask people, I can, just look all over Google and try to figure out this answer on my own for an hour. Once an hour has passed and you have looked at all the material you can and you still cannot figure this question out, your time's up. What I recommend at that point is to write down the question. You're technically not supposed to take photos of UWorld or any online question banks, so don't do that. But write the question down. Get the gist of the question down on a piece of paper and then save it. And then go to the next question. Do not dwell on one question that you don't know. And what I don't want you guys to do is to look online for, 4 or 5 hours researching the topic of friction and forces and weights because you're scared that you didn't know the answer to this question. This is not physics study day. That is something we are not doing. That is the part of traditional studying that is not allowed during the study method. After 1 hour maximum, if you still can't figure out the question, you write it down, you go to the next question. At the end of the day, after all the studying has been done, you can then go back to that question and see if you can spend a little more time on it. If not, you're done. The next thing to do is to take that question to a professor, take that question to a friend, take that question to, an online forum, and send it out to somebody else. Someone else knows how to do that question, and use that resource. You going over and over again trying to figure out a question that you don't know is just going to waste time. You need to do questions. You need to do questions. Don't spend more than an hour trying to figure out a question. If an hour has passed, you write down that question, give it to a lifeline, and that's it. If that question you never understand for the rest of your studying, it's one question. Now, I don't think that'll happen because you're all very smart. So I think you'll be able to figure it out with some help from someone else. But, in college, there's tutors, there's tutoring centers, etc., etc. After an hour has passed and you can't figure out the question, why you got it wrong, why you got it right, take it to somebody else, and that's it. Anyways, all right. I look at the answer choices and I say, oh, that's why A was right because of SOHCAHTOA. So at this point, what I'm going to do is open up my flashcards. If you watch my other videos, you know that I like Quizlet. You could easily use Anki or any other kind of online flashcards. I do recommend online because flashcards will become very numerous very fast. And so this is my Quizlet desktop. Um, if you look down here, you'll see a bunch of flashcards. More recently, these are MCAT ones, but I made these when I was tutoring students recently, and I wanted to show them how to make flashcards, so I made quite a few here as practice. So that's what we're gonna do. The question I just did was in physics, right? So I have a physics deck already created. So this is a group of physics cards. There's only 3 in here that I've already created. So I'm gonna click on that. It's called Physics MCAT. Oh, and I already have that question here. What does SOHCAHTOA mean? So it means, sine of x equals opposite over hypotenuse, cosine of x equals adjacent over hypotenuse, et cetera, et cetera. This is one flashcard. And so if I hadn't already made this flashcard, I would make it. So let's pretend that this flashcard wasn't there. I would click add terms. Let's see. You know what's funny? Since this card's here, it means that I did it recently. I did a question like this recently, and I still don't remember. But anyways, all right, so I'm going to say, what does SOHCAHTOA mean? SOHCAHTOA mean. And then we're going to put, sine. I put x, right? Sine x equals sine x opposite over hypotenuse. All right, so I write the answer there. It ends up looking like this one at the end, and that's it. I'm gonna put example card. Okay, so you click done, and now it's part of your stack. And so now you have these cards, right? In this example, I was only gonna make 2 cards, and so I want you to look at what these cards look like, though, because this is a mistake a lot of people make. When you're making flashcards, you want your flashcards to be very simple. You want your flashcards to be one question, or if you actually write down an entire passage, it needs to be like an abbreviated version of the passage, and it needs to be only about the things that you got wrong. What did you not know when you saw that question that if you would have known, you would have gotten the question right? That's the only thing you want to limit your learning to at this point in time. If I would have known SOHCAHTOA in this example, I would have gotten the question right, so I made that into a card. This is another card that's related, so if this were another topic that I needed to know, make another card out of it. What is a good acronym to remember the sine and cosine of a triangle? Oh, so this card is actually the same question as before, but it's worded backwards. And so SOHCAHTOA. And so with both of these cards here, what does SOHCAHTOA mean? And then, what is the acronym that you would use to figure that question out? It's asking you the same thing, but the questions are worded a little differently. And so I highly recommend that you do, more than one flashcard per question if you can. But here's another question here. In mass M slides down an incline, you need to find the force of friction. Draw a diagram that will help you solve this equation. Do you use sine or cosine? So this is a form of the passage we just read, but it is, very abbreviated, and it only targets the stuff I didn't know. I did not know to use SOHCAHTOA, and I did not know what SOHCAHTOA was used for. And so this flashcard basically says, this is what the question's asking you. Do you use sine or cosine? In answering this flashcard, I would have to remember SOHCAHTOA and then apply it to this question. And so the answer is to find the force of friction. You need to draw a vector triangle with the force of gravity as the hypotenuse. Sine of the angle will equal opposite over hypotenuse. Sine of the angle will then equal force of friction over force of gravity. And then you solve for friction. So this card was a little longer, but it directly targeted the exact thing that I needed to practice in order to get that question right. And so, again, these are just examples. This is the one that we kind of created together just now, but all 3 of these cards are examples of flashcards that you could make from this question. If you didn't understand what I did just now, pause the video, rewind it, go back, and reread the question we did, and then take a look at the flashcards I made. Your flashcards should look like these. Your flashcards should not be 3 or 4 paragraphs long. Your flashcard, if it has multiple questions in one card, should not be so confusing that it takes you, 10 minutes to do one flashcard. Flashcards should be designed to be done quickly, very quickly.